The diesel idled in the sheds, staring longingly outside. The Fat Controller had punished him because of his snobbish behaviour towards the engines.
"If you can't behave, I will send you back to the other railway. It's high time that you realise that you are disposable."
The large diesel's grumbling sounds came to an abrupt halt, and his face went white as smoke as the stout gentleman left the yards. A few minutes later, Edward sidled with some trucks beside the sulking diesel. "It's your own fault. We are all lucky to be here, and not to be fated to the cutter's torch. If I were you, I'd remember that." D261 sniffed and looked away. "Suit yourself, but heed my warning." Edward quietly left. Later, some workmen came up to D261.
"He's got enough fuel for the time being. He should be all right for this morning."
The engine raised an eyebrow. "Go where exactly?"
"We've been ordered by the signalman to take a goods bound for the works."
Goods trains were hardly D261's preferred type of work, but the thought of being away from the sheds coaxed him into getting ready quickly and purring away. The diesel shuddered as he shunted his train into place behind him in the yards. Engines would tease him as they passed around him.
"Watch out for bowler hats, and make sure your engine doesn't fail along the way," chuckled Murdoch.
The diesel gritted his teeth, but left without a word. D261 hummed along the line with his goods. It felt nice to be back at work. Bright green fields and dusty worn roads became a blur to him as he went. Soon he was flagged to a stop to let another train pass through. He stared about his surroundings, taking in all the new scenery. D261 was soon distracted, however, as he began to hear an oily purring noise approaching him. Diesel oiled up and eyed the newcomer suspiciously. "So you're the engine that the others were talking about?" "Heard of me then?" the green diesel sulked. "Oh yes, I've heard about your, incident. I wouldn't advise you to swank about like that here." "And who are you to tell what and what not to do?" "Someone who's learned from his mistakes," snapped the diesel shunter. "Don't misunderstand me. I loathe the steamies almost as much as you must. But we're all in the same boat now. And with that note, I should recommend that you think before you act. Pah!" D261 sidled away. After a short while the works came into view. Engines moved about the industrialised yards collecting trains and shunting wagons. The diesel had soon been shunted into a siding with his train. He felt disgruntled at the fact that he was left waiting again and wanted to be moving once more. Slowly, D261 felt something odd from beneath him. It felt like some kind of liquid lapping against his wheels. His suspicions were confirmed when he looked down to see oil dripping from his tank and onto the rails below. The diesel was about to complain when the shunter arrived.
"Right, D261, please move your train further down the siding and near to the buffers."
The engine considered informing the shunter of what he had noticed, but was eager to get the job over and done with and to be back moving properly. With a vicious roar, D261 spluttered into life and started moving backwards with his trucks. What he didn't realise was his bumpy movement was causing the diesel to leak even more. As he sidled backwards, picking up speed, D261 started to slip, but continued on. When he neared the buffers, the diesel's driver tried to apply the brakes, but nothing happened. "Help!" he spluttered. "I can't stop!" With a splintering crash, the back of the engine's train hit the buffers and ploughed into the ballast behind. The Fat Controller had soon arrived on the scene. By the time he had reached the accident, workmen were already clearing up the mess with the breakdown train. The diesel gulped meekly as the stout gentleman waved a clenched fist at him.
You are a very disobedient engine, D261. I warned you about acting responsibly on this railway. If you'd informed the workmen about your oil leak, this incident would have been prevented. I'm sending you away, and you shall not be allowed to return to Sodor Metals until I can trust you to behave."
With a mop on his brow, the stern controller walked away. The next day, Edward arrived to move D261 back to the other railway. The kind old engine said nothing, but looked at him knowingly. "I'm sorry," said the diesel, staring at the floor. Edward was taken back. "Why?" he asked curiously. "For not listening to your advice. Perhaps I was wrong, and perhaps I still have more to learn. I was foolish, and now I'm being sent away again." "You are certainly headstrong, and too boastful for your own good," admitted Edward. "But I don't know. Why not view this as a lesson learned, and have taken something from experience? It's the only way one gets anywhere in life." The diesel considered. "Yes, you are right. Perhaps when I've learned a little more and become a bit more responsible, I could come back here." The old engine smiled. "I look forward to that day." As Edward and D261 departed, spirits were a little lifted. The diesel had disgraced himself and had some hard lessons to learn. But perhaps he'll become a better engine. I hope so. Don't you?